In this Back to the Basics episode 2, we're going to be looking at your bridge. We're going to try and make it even more stable. I have examples of open and closed bridges and when we want to use these. So stay tuned. Hi pool players, it's the Terminator and welcome back to another episode of Terminator Tips. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button and click to like these videos so you won't miss anything in the future. Let's have a closer look at your bridge right now. So what are the two most important reasons why we would need a solid bridge? Well, first of all, we need a tool that can help us guide the cue in a straight line. If this would be loose, like with a lot of amateur players, the cue is going to end up going everywhere and that's not going to help us in our execution. Second of all, we need that same tool to help us go up in the cue ball if you want to hit it high, or as low as possible if we want to hit the ball low and make a draw shot. So these two tools are very important to our pool game. Let's look at some examples of open bridges. This is going to be your first tool when you start playing pool, and we're going to try and make this as solid as possible. Now the biggest mistake that players make, like I said, when they start playing, or even sometimes intermediate players, their thumb is not locked in to their index finger. This is huge in my opinion, because the more movement you can have in your thumb, the more movement is going to be generated in your cue and you're going to be less accurate. So step one is we need to train that thumb to get stuck on that index finger. Spread the fingers out, put the mouse or the palm of your hand on the cloth if you can, and just spread them out, and this would be your basic bridge. From that position you can start making a few adjustments that can work for you and feel potentially better. Now remember, everybody's hands and finger sizes are different, so you have to find your own unique bridge that's going to work for you. Find inspiration from other players, the pros, and see what works for you. For example, if you have your standard bridge, you could experiment with closing the thumb a little bit more. This can feel really stable, like this. Then Johnny Archer, for example, he has a bridge that's more like this. He closes the two fingers under the table. And then there's also a guy they call the Terminator. I've never heard of him, maybe you have. He does something like this. He closes the ring finger, puts these two a little bit more together, and this feels really stable to him. Go ask him in the comments why, because I have no clue. And also let him know in the comments what is your favorite open bridge. Okay, now we're going to go over some examples of a closed bridge. Why do we even want to use a closed bridge? Well, in my personal opinion, there are certain speeds that you can hit the ball that work really well with an open bridge. Also when I have to hit the ball a little higher with topspin, that works really well. But when there comes a certain speed in my game that I need, usually a firmer speed, the cue has a tendency on an open bridge to come a little bit out of your hand or go up in the air, as you see here in the examples, and therefore we want to make it even more stable, keep the cue in place, and that's why we use a closed bridge, to keep the cue locked between your fingers so it can just go back and forth in that straight line that we want to use to pocket the ball. Now we saw with the open bridge that was really important, as the thumb has to really touch the index finger, right? Press against that index finger. For the closed bridge, again, we also want to make the hole of our fingers not too wide, because then the cue has a tendency to wobble again and it can go all kind of directions. We want to keep it a little bit firm, tucked in, but still enough room that we can move the cue around. As such, I use this bridge, but it doesn't have the opportunity to move in my hand as you see here. So find that balance, and we're going to look at a few examples right now. The first basic example is where you put your thumb and index finger together like such, put the middle finger under it, and you kind of make a letter P. Then you put that on the table, and the key is you spread your fingers. The index finger and your thumb, they rest on the middle finger, and you get something like this. A very nice solid bridge. However, we have to make sure that that hole closes a little bit, and I personally find this a little bit hard on this bridge. There's too much air between the index finger and the middle finger, and therefore I like to go, for example, to a next bridge. Taking it a step further, we can use that same index finger and thumb, but this time pressing them down a little bit, then putting them on the middle finger, and you get something like this. This is a little more stable because that hole is reduced a little bit from the previous one, and here you can already see that the cue is really going in a nice solid straight line. Taking that a step further, you can do the bridge that, for example, Efren does. He puts the index finger really on the middle finger. You get something like this. And then what you get with a lot of pool players is that the ring finger starts living its own life a little bit. I think that's a normal reaction of your fingers when you put a little bit of pressure and spread on them like this. It has a tendency to move, so don't worry about that. When I started playing, I started with the P bridge actually, then went to the more solid bridge, then also this one on the middle finger. But because my hands are not so big and my fingers are a little bit thick, this didn't give me the ultimate grip that I was looking for. And I started experimenting with Strickland's bridge that I saw over 20 years ago. Actually, when he was playing Efren Reyes in that race to 120. I saw how he was bridging and it was something that I wanted to try, and it worked for me and I stuck with it ever since. What he actually does is he puts the thumb a little bit more on the index finger, so they're not squeezed together like this, but it goes a little bit on the index finger, and then your nail of the index finger rests on the middle finger as such. And from there actually the ring finger is tucked under, so it looks something like this. Then a little bit more unconventional bridge that I saw with Tom Storm from Sweden. Super strong straight pool player, won many titles. He had a bridge where he tucked the middle finger under and then made his bridge like so. Looks a little bit unconventional, but it worked for him and he found it very stable. I can't really get it there. It looks something like this. And he had a lot of success with that bridge. So if that's something you want to experiment with, go right ahead. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you do this one, this one, this one. It's all about stability and finding that unique bridge that fits your hands and your fingers. So don't worry about it. Don't doubt yourself if you have a bridge. If it's stable and the cue is fixed and also slides really well, that's all you need. And if you have trouble in some situations where the cue gets sticky and you lose feel over your grip, it doesn't feel natural, you're having trouble with your fingers, maybe it's sweating when it's humid, I highly recommend using a glove. I've been doing this for a few years now and it's really made a difference in my game. It's way more stable, consistent, and I really love it. This is the Kamui glove, highly recommend it. And it gives a great feel and the durability is also super high. There you go, pool players, a ton of examples to bring your bridge to the next level, get more stability, get higher in the ball, lower in the ball, and bring your game to the next level. Please don't forget to check out all the other content on this channel. I'm posting new tips and lessons weekly, and if you're interested in the mental side of the game, head over to terminatorcollege.com and check out all the courses that are waiting there for you. Thanks for watching.